Last month, a council member in a very small Pennsylvania town pleaded guilty to 33 felony charges for trying to steal a 2021 mayoral election by registering non-residents of the town and then casting mail ballots on their behalf. The case demonstrates how hard it would be to scale up this type of election fraud into a larger race. I'm Carter Walker, a reporter for VoteBeat. I cover elections in Pennsylvania, and I took a look at the case in Melbourne. Melbourne is a small suburb outside of Philadelphia with roughly 1,200 residents. It's less than a tenth of a square mile. The fraud in 2021 was perpetrated by Councilmember MD Nurul Hassan and his two fellow borough council members. The trio obtained information from non-Melbourne residents and then registered them to vote in the town using that information, according to a federal indictment. After that, Hassan and his co-conspirators requested mail ballots on behalf of those residents and wrote in Hassan's name for mayor in an effort to tip the scales of the election. But votes hadn't even been counted by the time residents in Melbourne started to catch on to the scheme. Between the primary and November election that year, Melbourne added 29 new voters to the voter rolls, according to the federal indictment, which may not sound like a lot, but in a town of less than 600 voters, it was a noticeable change. And the mayoral candidate running against Hassan, Mayor Tayyub, who eventually won, he noticed this change and started to suspect that it was due to fraud. It would take years for authorities to fully unravel what was behind the odd voter registrations that were popping up in the fall of 2021. But eventually Hassan and his co-conspirators were charged, pled guilty, and were held accountable for what they had done. Justin Grimmer, a political scientist at Stanford University who I spoke with, he studies voter fraud and says that the cases he encounters often look like this: a local race with a relatively small number of voters. He said that scaling the scheme in Melbourne to one that involves enough votes to sway a statewide or national election would be hard, because it would involve so many people and leave behind the types of obvious markers that Mayor Tayyub discovered that eventually led to the fraud being unraveled.